Kondo, it's not an honour to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We're here to talk about Ys VIII, Lacrimosa of Dana. Could you start by describing the game for us, please?
Ys VIIIの簡単なご紹介をお願いいたします。
そうですね、イースシリーズはですね、もう30年以上続く、日本のアクションロールプレイングゲームのシリーズです。
So first of all, Ys itself is a game with a 30-year history in Japan.
30年間ずっとアドルという赤毛の冒険家が主人公なんですね。
For 30 years, we've been following the adventures of the red-headed adventurer Adol.
アドルは100冊以上の冒険日誌を残したという設定になっていまして、その一つ一つの冒険日誌を一つのタイトルごとに読んでいくといった内容になっているゲームですね。
Adol left over 100 journals of his adventures, and we as the player, every time we start an Ys game, we are reading one of his journals and one of his adventures.
It's been 8 years since the last game in the series. Why has it been such a long wait?
8年間、前作から8年間なんですけれども、なぜ8年間がかかったんでしょうか。
そこは僕もその8年っていうのは会社にいなかったので、当時の状況っていうのは想像するしかないんですけれども、一回やっぱりそのゲームを作る、イースを作りたいという人たちが一回社内にやっぱりいなくなってしまったんじゃないかなと思います。
Well, the reason that took 8 years from when he started working on them is this is before he entered the company, so he doesn't really have a reason as to why, except for his conjecture. But he believes that maybe nobody wanted to make the Ys games for a while.
ただ僕らはやっぱりイースシリーズが好きでやっぱり入社してきた人間も非常に多いですから、そういった仲間と一緒にリメイクだけではなくってナンバリングの新しいタイトルも作ろうよというところで、会社と話し合いながら、8年ぶりに復活させたんですよね。
But of course, what he and the other people who entered the company around the same time as him entered because of their love for Ys, in part. And they worked on a series of remakes of older Ys titles, and then they really wanted to challenge something new. And so they were able to convince the company, they were able to make a new Ys games, and then from there they kept on with the series and kept creating new Ys games.
Was that something that was difficult to convince them to do?
その説得するには難しかったんでしょうか。
そうですね、当時ファルコムはリメイクが中心になっていて、で僕らもその Ys VIII、2とリメイクをしまして、でその次は会社からやっぱり Ys VIIIをリメイクするように言われたんですね。
Yes, it was difficult. The first ones that they worked on were the remakes of 1 and 2, and so as those did well, the company obviously wanted them to go on to make Ys III, and so they said, no, let us make something new. Let us try to make a new game here.
でただやっぱり僕らも若かったので、リメイクを通じていろいろ力やノウハウを蓄えていて、でここまでやってきたからにはやっぱり新しいタイトルでやらせてほしいっていうところで始めさせてもらいました。
And so again, because they had worked on these remakes, they were able to say, well, look, we've got the chops now. You know, we've come up with we've got the know-how, the ability to be able to make something good. And so they took a chance on them and they let them make the keys.
I'm certainly glad they did, because I've personally had quite a bit of playtime with it. For a game like myself, it seems to incorporate a lot of old-style RPG elements and quite modern RPG elements as well. How important was that in the development stage to have that balance?
彼は今プレイしてる最中なんですけれども、昔のものの雰囲気もまだあって、でも新しいものはかなり入ってると感じてるんですけれども、それについてちょっとお話。
そうですね、僕ら結構何をやっても王道を作るのが得意って言われてる会社なんですけれども。
He says we Falcom as a company are kind of known for being traditionalists and making lots of very traditional style games.
どうして王道になるかって僕らもよくわからないです。意識してるわけじゃないんですよね。
He says you don't particularly know why that's the case because they're not particularly trying to make games that we consider traditional.
ただやっぱりその昔のファルコムのゲームが好きでやっぱり入社してきて、それを大事にしていきたいっていう気持ちもあって、でも今出すからには新しい要素もやっぱり入れていきたいっていう2つの気持ちがあるので、やっぱりそういう風になるのかなと。
And so the people who enter the company obviously love these old games that the company produced previously, so that probably contributes to why a lot of the times these games can be considered very traditional. However, of course, as a team, they want to try new things and take new chances when it comes to game development, which is probably what lends to the feeling of newness as well. So it's a good balance of those two things, like you said.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different elements in there from old and new. What were the biggest influences behind this game?
今作の、一番影響を受けたのはどこからでしょうか。
これに影響を受けてるゲームって特にあるわけじゃなくて、やっぱり過去の Ys シリーズをやっぱり基準にして今回はどうしようっていう考え方ですかね。
There wasn't really one game that you can point to specifically as to this was the game that influenced the most, but what they did is they looked back at the Ys series as a whole and decide how to proceed from there.
At the start, the game seemed quite open world, with an entire island to discover and everything. But then, as you move along with certain bits that become unlockable, so it kind of becomes that switch between open world and linear. What was the thought process behind creating that?
ゲームをスタートするには、ちょっとオープンワールドっぽくいろんなところに行けるんですけど、ゲームをプレイしつつ、結構、次と次へ行くんですけれども、それについてちょっとなぜそういう作りにしたか教えていただけますでしょうか。
オープンワールドによくしてほしいっていうのは特に海外のお客様からよく言われるんですね。
He says open world is something that he often, a request that's often asked for by fans abroad.
ちょっとそれが難しいところなんですけれど、ただ僕らはやっぱりこういう意図で楽しんでほしい、この順番で行ってほしいっていうところも結構あったりするんですよ。
And so of course they want to respect those desires, but by the same token there's a tale they want to tell. And so that kind of leads into what you mentioned about then it becomes a little bit linear. So it's kind of a blending of those two things.
そこは多分日本人的な感覚のところもあると思いますけれど。
He says that perhaps could be that desire for players to follow a certain route is a very Japanese way of approaching game development, but that's, they're a Japanese company, so.
Going back a little bit on influences, there seems to be a trend in games recently that involve fishing. So we see it pop in Stardew Valley and most recently Final Fantasy 15,
Right.
And again in Ys. What is this sort of popularity with fishing in games?
最近のゲームでは、釣りがよく出てきてるんですね。インディーズゲームではスターデューバリーで、日本のゲームですとファイナルファンタジーの15番。なぜ今釣りがちょっとよく出てくるんでしょうか。
無人島が舞台なんですよ今回は。
So well, he can't speak to others, but for himself, the setting for this game is an uninhabited island, and because they're on an island, there's naturally going to be fish.
割と今回の Ys VIII は、無人島で生活をするっていうところも結構重視していまして。
And that the whole setting is actually really important to the game itself. Is how being on an uninhabited island can inform the gameplay and how it can affect and what the player will do in the game.
割と今までの Ys シリーズにないシステムをたくさん入れてます。例えば村を作っていくとか、それを村を防衛するバトルがあるとか、それからお金がないんですよね。お金がないから全部物々交換です。で釣りもその中の一つなんですよ。
And this actually leads into beyond just the fishing and the systems themselves, but because you're on a deserted island, there's no money, and so you have to barter. And part of that is bartering fish. Because it's deserted, and at the beginning of the game, actually, as you played, you on the boat you're on sinks, and there's a bunch of people. You gather them together, and you make a village together. So you're not only maintaining this village, but you're also protecting it as enemies come to attack you. So the setting kind of informs everything else.
パーティーにあと漁師がいますからね。
There's also, as you know, party member Sahad, who is a fisherman. So he lends
これで釣りができなかったら嘘でしょっていう内容なんですよ。
On the other hand, having a fisherman in your party and then not allowing people to fish, so like you get a bad user reaction from
that. Now, Nihon Falcom released its first game back in '83, and it's been kind of a stalwart of RPGs or JRPGs since then. How has the company evolved from the 80s to modern day?
確かファルコムさんの一番最初のゲームは1983年に出てきて、
はい、
で主に RPG メーカーとして知られていると思うんですけれども、ファルコムさんの進化についてその83年から今までは、いかがですか？
そうですね。まず日本ファルコムって83年からほんのちょっと10年くらい前まではずっとパソコンのゲームを専門に作ってきた会社なんです。
One of the biggest evolutions is that from 83 until about 10 years ago, Falcom was predominantly a PC game maker.
でもともとパソコンをやってた頃から割と緻密なゲームを作るっていうことでファンを獲得してきた会社なんですね。
And so during that period of time, making games very carefully, very deliberately, it was a way that they kind of got their fans, and the fans knew what they were going to expect.
でどっちかっていうとコンシューマーゲーム機が出てきた後もずっとパソコンで作り続けているっていうイメージの会社だったんです。
And within this history, even after consoles came out, Falcom continued to make games for PC.
でもずっとパソコンでやっている中で日本ではパソコンゲームよりどんどんコンソール機の方がメジャーになっていってで僕らも非常にコンソールの業界が羨ましいなって思ってた時代もありますね。
And within the midst of this, consoles became more and more powerful. More and more game players were shifting from PC to playing on consoles. So much so that as a company, Falcom kind of became jealous of that console market.
でコンソールをやるようになってからはですねパソコンの時代っていうのはどっちかっていうと、緻密で堅実なゲームをずっと作ってきたんですけどやっぱりコンソールに来たことでやっぱりコンソールのお客さんを意識した今のゲーム作りにどんどん変わってきてますね。
And so in this shift from making PC games to making console games, thinking about the audience was also really informed how the games have been developed. So again, previously it was kind of very deliberate, very really detailed games. And then moving into the consoles, creating games for console users that are more open and perhaps more widely able to be played and accepted by them has been part of the evolution as well.
And following on from that, what does the future hold for Falcom?
さんの将来は
はいファルコムのゲームってずっとファルコムのファンでいてくださる方って古いタイトルも結構遊んでくださるんですね。ちょうど気に入っている文庫本って本棚に入れておいてたまに取り出してきて読みたくなるじゃないですか。ああいう感覚で捉えてくださってるお客さんが多いです。
Well, one characteristic of Falcom fans in general is that they're kind of like lovers of old books in that you have your shelf of books and you go and it's like, I want to reread this, and you grab it. And that's the way Falcom fans are with their games. It's like, I really want to play this again, and they'll go and they'll grab it off the shelf.
でそれはやっぱりゲームとしての基本の部分をしっかり作っているからだと思うんですけれど、ただやっぱりゲーム機っていうのは日進月歩でどんどん新しくなっていきますし、やっぱり機能も増えていきますので、そういうクラシックな部分をしっかりと土台として持ちつつも、どんどんチャレンジしていけるようなゲームメーカーでありたいなというふうに思っています。
However, as time advances, consoles become obsolete. So what he wants to do as a maker is to be able to continue to maybe look back at the past, you mentioned earlier, to take those things and then revitalize them and bring them up to speed with the new generation of console, the new generation of players.
So we could expect to see Ys III and IV and V.
じゃあもしかしてまた、古いタイトルのリメイクとかをすることも
そうですね。映像とか映画とかだったら多分 DVD とかブルーレイにしていけばいいんですけれど、ゲームはゲーム機が変わってしまいますから。でやっぱり昔のものを遊びたいというお客さんもたくさんいらっしゃって、やっぱり今やろうとするとやっぱりプレイステーション4でやっぱりやりたいっていう声もたくさんいただいたりもしますので、やっぱり定期的に各タイトルのリメイクのもやりたいという気持ちはあります。
Definitely. Again, you'll have these connoisseurs who have their old libraries that they want to pull it off the shelf, but people want to play it on new things too. That said, the old games were great, and it's worth it to periodically remaster or remake a lot of these old games, and that's something that he wants to do, especially since PlayStation 4 now, a lot of users are saying, he'd really like to play a lot of these old games on the PlayStation 4.
ただですね、アドルの冒険日誌って100冊以上あって、まだ8冊しかゲーム化されてないんです。
However, as you mentioned earlier, the Ys story is Adel's, and Adel wrote over 100 journals. However, we've only reached 8 so far, so
リメイクばっかりやってても先に進まないので、ちょっとそこが悩ましいところ。
we can't be remaking everything all the time because then we can't proceed with the rest of Adel's journals. So
Is it going to be? We've got 92 more to go. Surely that's going to be less than 8. One every 8 years.
じゃあ92冊頃が残 残ってるんでしたら、もうちょっと頻度を上げて新しいものを作ります。
だからリメイクも新作も作らなきゃいけないんで大変です。
Exactly. Making both is going to be tough, but they got to get on it.
And we see a lot of fashion in games. So one year it's first-person shooters, the top in the charts. The next year it's platformers,
Right.
races and whatnot. RPGs tend to be a stalwart of gaming. That always seems to be there. What's the reason for that?
特にゲーム業界では、例えば一時期 FPS ゲームがすごくみんなやってる。で、レーシングもそうですし、でも一方 RPG はもうある程度はもうずっとキープしてるんですね。なぜ RPG の魅力はそれなんでしょうか。
やっぱり RPG ってやっぱりいろんなゲームの要素が本当に一つに詰まってると思いますね。
One reason for that is that RPGs usually are an amalgamation of lots of different genres.
でやっぱりシナリオがあって音楽があって、映像があってでそこにこうミニゲームとしていろんなゲームの要素が追加されたりとかもう本当にゲーム全体がこうギュッて凝縮されたのが RPG だと思います。やっぱりそこが僕なんかの魅力の一つだというふうに思ってます。
You've got the story, obviously. You've got music. You've got graphics. And then you've got maybe a whole host of mini games and things like that that you can do anything you want with. And so because RPGs are kind of able to, you can do anything with them. He thinks that's a real charm of them, and that's why they at least enjoy making them.
その分作るのがすごく大変なので、いつも苦しんではいますけれども。
It's super difficult to do that, he says, as a developer. But that's also where the joy of creating lies too.
The joy is in the challenge.
Right. そのチャレンジ自体が面白いことです。
そうですね。苦しいながらも楽しいなと思ってやってます。
A very simple question, which that might be difficult to answer. Why should gamers buy this game?
シンプルな質問なんですけれども、ちょっと難しいかもしれないですけど、なぜユーザーさんがYs VIIIを買わなくちゃ。
はい。そうですね、難しいですね。
So you're right, that is a difficult question.
ただやっぱりそのYsのゲームって僕が会社の先輩たちから引き継いだフランチャイズなんですけれども、その時にこう教えてもらった唯一の一つの教えてもらったことっていうのはやっぱり戦闘ですよね。戦闘をいつまでもこうストーリーとか全然なくても楽しんで遊んでいられるものがYsなんだっていうふうに教えられました。
One thing he was told by the people who came before him in the company is that one of the core things of Ys is the combat. Really good, smooth, fast, exciting combat. He was told that to make the combat so good that you don't even need to necessarily have a story to keep players playing because the combat should be so engaging.
よく社内で例え話として出るんですけど、Ysっていうのはエアパッキン緩衝材のプチプチを一個ずつ潰していくような楽しさがあるんです。
And so this is something they talk a lot about in the office, but playing Ys, the combat, should feel like popping bubble wrap.
敵を一体ずつ一体倒していくだけで気がつくと2時間3時間過ぎている。
So that just like you can kind of lose yourself in popping the bubbles and that enjoyment, the same way you should be able to play in Ys, and that the combat that's driving you so forward that you lose an hour or 2 hours before you know it because you're having so much fun.
You've certainly done that well. I can attest to that.
そういう中毒性があるところに、先ほど説明した RPG としてのいろんな、ストーリーであるとか音楽とかそういうものが入ってきますので、非常に僕らも作っていて楽しいですし、プレイヤーとしてやっぱりベースとしてプチプチ潰していく戦闘があって、その上でやっぱりいろんなものが楽しめるアクション RPG になってますので、やっぱりそこがYsとしての大前提なんだよっていうふうに考えています。
So in addition to that addictive combat that he was talking about, you've also got, like what he said earlier, with the graphics, the story, the music. There's so many things that Ys has to offer that he believes that having put everything into the game that they could, there's a lot there for fans. So they should definitely give it a try.
手に取って戦闘していただけると、こういうことかってすぐに分かりますので、ぜひ手に取ってください。
So playing it even for 5 minutes, you'll understand just how fun it is from the combat. So definitely pick it up, give it a try. You won't regret it.
One of the things I loved from Ys was the combat is very fast and smooth flowing. It's got a really good story to it and building that island without village and stuff. But I think one of the things that stood out most was the really vibrant, colourful backdrops. how you can walk from one screen to the next and on a beautiful sunlit beach and then a big verdant dark jungle.
Right.
How much of that was in the design phase to bounce from one vibrant scenario to the next?
まあ彼が今まさにゲームをプレイした最中なんですけれども、もう社長のおっしゃった通り戦闘が非常に快適で、音楽もすごくいいんですけれども、彼に特に印象的なのは、ステージ舞台がいろいろ用意してあって、非常に面白いと思うんですね。それはまあ最初の段階からそういういろんな例えばビーチのシーンとかジャングルがあって、それは考えたんですか？
そうですね。イースってゲームが進むとアドロの行えるアクションとかいろんなアイテムを手に入れることでできるようになることがどんどん増えていくんですね。でそれに沿ってどういうステージが魅力的なのかっていう全体の舞台構成をしていくんですよ。
So when developing games, the Ys games, Adol will pick up different items which will allow him to, do different things and be able to go different places. And so they're always thinking about how they can use those items that he finds and these new abilities to be able to create new places for him to go.
まずはそのゲームのシステムとかバランスから見て、こういう順番でこういうアクションをしてもらおうっていうのが決まったら、その後にじゃあこういう洞窟がいいんじゃないとか、こういうビーチがいいんじゃないとか、こういう山がいいんじゃないっていうことが決まって、でその順番が決まると今度ストーリーが決まっていくんです。
And so figuring out in what order they want players to be able to accomplish certain tasks, they're able to figure out what stage to put that in. For example, like if I was able to use this ability or this piece of equipment, maybe the best location would be the beach, or maybe the jungle, or maybe ruins, or maybe a mountain. And then from there, they're able to actually put the story in on top of that. So that's kind of how the entire game is developed, actually.
だからストーリーの都合で決まるんじゃなくって、もう全てが気持ちよく遊んでもらうためにっていうところがあって、やっぱりその後なんですよね、物語とかキャラクターとか。
So for Ys, it's not there's a story and they cram in, well, because we wrote in the story that he's on a beach, he has to be on a beach. It's actually the exact opposite of that. It's because they've thought about how they want the player to play and to have fun and enjoy themselves. The story comes afterwards. So it's all there in service of that gameplay, and that creates a really nice flow when playing.
I've never thought it'd been done that way. That's really quite interesting. I sort of assumed that an RPG is quite story driven, so it'd be the story first,
Right.
and then the game on top.
面白いですね。普段はやっぱり RPG と聞くとストーリーがメインで、ストーリーから全てが出てくると。でも逆と聞いてすごくびっくりした。
そうですね。うちでも奇跡シリーズなんかはストーリーが先なんですけれど、イースはやっぱりアクションを気持ちよく遊んでもらいたいっていうところから始まってるので、もう全てにおいてはやっぱりゲームプレイの方が優先ですね、イースは。
So he says, actually, within the company they have a series called the Trails in the Sky and the Trails of Cold Steel. And those games are very story-oriented, and it's exactly like what you think an RPG would be. It's that you've got the story first and things go out from there. But again, on the other hand, Ys is an action RPG first and foremost, so it's how that action can be best expressed is how they approach the development.
And if we could just ask a few questions about yourself now, if you don't mind, so we get to know you a bit better.
社長についてちょっといろいろ質問したいと思うんですけど。
What would you say were the biggest influences in your career?
社長のキャリアの中では一番大きな影響はどこから来たんですか？
影響っていうのはゲームを作るようになった。
For like developing games, like what was like why he decided to develop games? そうですね、その通りです。
一番初めにゲームの仕事をしたいと思ったのは小学校2年生の時のインベーダーゲームって日本でものすごく流行ったんですけれど、あれがまずゲームに興味を持つきっかけでした。
So what really got him into games and made him want to become a developer was in his second year of elementary school. Invader-style games were like sweeping Japan, and he loved the Invaders games, and so that's what he wanted to do.
でその後やっぱりその RPG っていうものをすごく強く意識したのはやっぱりドラゴンクエストがきっかけだったんです。
And then when he first learned about RPGs as a genre was from Dragon Quest.
でまずそのゲームを始めて王様からお金もらって街から出たところでラスボスの城が海の向こう側に見えるっていうのにすごい衝撃を受けたんですよね。
He remembers specifically at the beginning of the game you get the sum of money from the king. You leave the castle, you go out into the land, and you can see the last boss's castle over the sea in a place you can't reach. And that really made a big impact on him.
あの辺がやっぱりあるから RPG を作りたいなって思ったんじゃないですかね。
So because of that, that's why he wanted to make RPGs.
And what would you say has been the highlight of your career?
今までのキャリアの中でハイライト一番は頂点というか素晴らしいなと思うことは何でしょうか。
頂点っていうかやっぱり僕はそのドラゴンクエストにいろいろ影響を受けた後でもファルコムのゲームがすごい大好きだったんですね。で結構ファンサイトを運営したりとかいろんなファンとしての活動をしていった中でこう、ファルコムを就職先に選んでやっぱりそれをなんか憧れからやっぱりその会社に入ってでもただ僕は経済学部の出身だったんでゲームを作るスキルはなかったんです。でもそこからこうやっぱりゲームを作る部署に関わらせてもらったっていうところがやっぱり自分の中で一番のハイライトなんじゃないですか。
So for him, he actually ran a fan site for Falcom Games before he joined the company. So obviously he loved Dragon Quest, but then his love kind of switched over to the Falcom Games. And then he was able to join the company. But because he studied economics in school, he never had imagined that he would be able to work in the development side of things. And so the highlight for him, he says, was when he was actually able to, after entering the companies, to start working on the development of games. Just that, something that he never thought he'd be able to do, but longed to do. To be able to accomplish that, he said, it was wonderful.
だからファンから社長になったっていうところが一番伝わりやすいんじゃないですか。
So I guess the story behind it all would be that a fan became like a game creator. He said.
まさかこうなれると思ってなかったので、やっぱり今も毎日が楽しいです。
So it was beyond his wildest dreams. So he says every day is really, really fun for him.
A real life fairy tale.
Yeah. So,
and finally, one last question. When I finally get to visit Japan, what one place should I visit?
まだ日本に行ってないですけれども、日本に行ったらぜひここは行かなくちゃ。ここは日本だよとか。
ここは日本だよ。秋葉原ですかね、やっぱり。
He said probably 秋葉原。秋葉原。
やっぱりゲーム好きだと見どころもすごく多いですし、本当はね富士山とかいろいろあるんですけれど、京都とか。
He says if you're a gamer, it's definitely Akihabara. There's so much there that to see really in relation to games that you can't be rich. Otherwise, if you want a more traditional answer, he said probably Mount Fuji or Kyoto.
Mr. Kondo, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.